You are on Flight 420 out of Los Angeles. Thanks for joining us. This is Mondays with Wallace. I'm Wallace Peoples. I'm your pharmacist. We talk every week about cannabis, and today we are joined with our experts, Stephen Cotton from SC Edibles and Brandon Tidwell from
Sweet Daddy Edibles.
Sweet Daddy Edibles. I have to ask you that every week, it seems, and I'm always thankful to have you guys here as experts. We're also here with Carol Lemire. Carol, how are you today?
I'm okay.
Good. We are with our producer, Lee Michaels, in the Power of Voices studio in beautiful Culver City, California. We chat weekly about cannabis, and today we're going to talk about CBD oils. We're going to talk about cannabis in Los Angeles, some of the laws in Los Angeles. We're also going to chat about how much marijuana you can carry. If you are in studio today, we have an abundance of marijuana today. Actually, it's not cannabis marijuana. It's CBD oils. Is that what we have?
Those
here?
are THC carts.
THC cartridges. So
Is that the kind they put in those pipes there where you can smell it?
Well, these don't have much of a smell to them.
Oh.
They have more of a flavor.
what is the percentage of THC that's in here?
Each flavor is different. If you look on the back of the cart, we go to the Gorilla Glue. The Gorilla Glue is 92.5% THC. And if we look on the back of the Jet Fuel OG, this one is 91.22%. These are all tested out.
Okay. So in California, you actually can carry 1 ounce of marijuana, of weed. So if you're stopped by the police, you can carry 1 ounce. Now, you had a jar. Can I see your jar?
I think we're a little bit over today.
Is the jar over?
I think we're a little bit over today.
Is that okay? So how much is in our jar here? And this
We
is
got
the
roughly
cannabis.
2 ounces in the jar today.
So there's 2 ounces in the jar. So this is a little over our limit. And
A little
2
over
ounces.
the limit. I'm licensed, though.
You're licensed. Okay.
licensed to
Perfect.
carry.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Does that mean you have a medical problem?
I do. I am disabled.
Yeah, that's what I asked you.
I'm disabled, and I have a license which I can grow marijuana as well. I can have up to 6 pounds of marijuana at one time.
Now, see, we
You can actually have 6
what,
pounds.
6 plants?
And this is not 6 pounds. 6 pounds is really a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of weed. 6
A lot.
pounds is a lot of weed.
I see.
This is about 56 grams of marijuana right here.
So 1 ounce, if you can carry that, that is actually 8 grams.
No, 1 ounce is 28 grams.
28 grams?
28 grams.
Okay. But from what I understand, and I was just looking at some of the language, is that allows you to carry, like, if you're following the legal limits of marijuana, it means you can carry like 59 joints. Because each joint
It's about 1 gram.
is about 1 gram. So is that right or no?
So you can have 28 joints.
28 joints. Okay. Good. And how many vape pens can you carry, do you think?
Well,
I was just looking
the
online.
vape pens are a gram each. So you can have about 28 of these as well, too.
28 vape pens and still be legal?
If you want to go by that law, yes, but people
Yeah,
bend the
it's
laws
just the
per
law.
county.
No,
If you go to
that's the
different
law.
counties, different cities, people bend the laws according to how they want them to work in their favor.
And I always ask you the price of these varying marijuanas. How much would this cost?
If you go to a dispensary in California and you want to buy 1 ounce of marijuana, if you go to, I say, Beverly Hills area, Santa Monica area, to a place that's really licensed, I say you're going to pay about $300 to $400 per ounce.
Per ounce?
$300 to $400 per ounce per 28 grams. What do you think, Brandon?
Easy.
Easy, right?
Is that
Easy.
right?
I mean, in the places that are
Beverly
popping
Hills,
up, like
Santa Monica, Mad Men.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Medmen, they just popped up. Going Medmen,
Expensive.
3.5 grams will cost you anywhere from about $35, $40 on the low side to about $50, $60, $70 on the high side. So when you look at the price discrepancy, man, it's huge.
Oh,
I have a question because people ask me this, and since I don't know this. Are you allowed to sell it, or do you have to be a licensed store?
You can give it. So let's say you grow at home and a friend comes over, or a friend of a friend, you can give them the weed
As a
That's
donation.
okay.
And then they can give you a donation under
Well,
the...
it doesn't have to be a donation.
They don't have to. You can give it away.
Yeah, you can give it away.
No, I'm
but
talking
where
about
the
to
issue
make
becomes-
money, though.
Oh yeah, to
Because
sell
a lot
it,
of
no.
your store people have went underground.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You need to be properly licensed, and you need to be paying a proper tax in order to sell weed.
Yeah, they do. What is the tax on
I think
weed?
it's like 15%. I think
15%?
Yeah.
So that's what you're paying when you go in a store and buy it?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Now you can go to the places in the hood. We just mentioned Santa Monica, Beverly Hills. Now you can go to the places around Crenshaw District, South Central. They have dispensaries as well, and you can get ounces in there for $100, $200, half the price.
Oh, is that right?
Half the
Well,
price if you go in the
that's
hood.
like
How about the
anything
quality?
you do.
But that's the thing.
Quality.
You can't really verify with certainty where it's coming from. For the most part,
Hit or miss when you go in those dispensaries in the hood.
It is.
Can-
You don't know who's growing it. You don't know what you're getting. They could sell you some weed for a really expensive price, and it smokes terrible when you get home.
Sure.
When you go to those places in Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, the places that are licensed, you usually get what you see. It's labeled. It's been tested.
So-
It's been labeled.
A
And
lot
do
of
they let you sample it?
a lot of my
No.
listeners, listeners will ask me, what's the hood? I know this is L.A., but where's the hood in L.A.?
The hood is South Central, Inglewood, Crenshaw District, Leimert Park.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hood. When
That's
you go to
the-
Beverly Hills, Santa Monica,
Palmdale.
that's the beach.
Palmdale's the hood too.
Are
now.
these places places where anyone can go, or if you were
Absolutely,
let's
anyone
say,
can go there.
let's
You just
say
need to know where you are.
right. So let's say you're generic person out of town, and my friend asked me. I had a friend from New York here, and he was white, and they had this really tough time buying marijuana, and they wanted to go to the hood. The hood, or they wanted to go anywhere.
They
really.
wanted to go to all the places they saw in the movies.
Yeah. Can a person out of town just walk into like a Mad Men or just to buy marijuana, or is it
definitely.
better to go in, the hood because they felt that?
No, when you go to the stores, they ask you for your ID,
They always ask
and
you-
then they sign your name in, and then you have to wait till they call you in.
Just have to
And
be
you
18
can't,
or older,
you
right?
can't be, you can't be on your phone because I did that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they told me to put
Usually
my
go
phone
through
away.
a metal detector. You have to have a license,
Yeah.
ID. You have to be 18 or older or 21 and older for recreational use.
Well, if you don't have ID, they won't let you in.
Oh,
and,
no,
and I think my friend was a little apprehensive
About
because
using
of his
ID.
employment of using his ID.
Oh, that doesn't matter though.
Yeah,
They
it's-
just
well,
need it because it's a law.
If your life depends on your job, and you're not wanting to,
he wants
So
to be
with
more
that-
discreet. He
with
wants
that
he wants to
job-
be more discreet.
With that job, then I suppose he isn't allowed to drink either. Am I correct?
that's a possibility. That's a very
Yeah.
distinct possibility.
Because that's where I can't understand when people say they can drink, but they can't smoke weed. It's like,
Yeah, but they were
It's
actually
just
my
as
friends
legal
were
as
actually
liquor.
frustrated that they couldn't get any. They were really
What
frustrated.
was stopping them from getting
Yeah.
it? Was it just
I think he didn't want to show his ID,
Oh, okay.
and they didn't want to. And my other friend, he's a couple federal employee workers, and
could they not find a place because there's the weed map, correct?
I think they were probably. There was the whole thing about giving their ID, letting people know that they were actually.
A lot of people are like that. A
I
lot
don't-
of people are older and they don't want people to know that they smoke. They
Oh,
don't
it's-
want to. They
it's-
don't want to walk into a store and
It's
be
the
seen.
same thing with
Well,
guns.
if they, I shut this
It-
down.
it's the same thing with guns. A lot of people.
But if they drink, they
Well, your drinking's
have to
different.
show an ID.
It is
So
different.
what's the difference?
A lot of people
I don't
can
think
go
you
out
have to
to
show
a
ID
bar
when
and they're
you
not
drink.
embarrassed to go out to go to a bar. But if a lot of people want to smoke a joint or smoke weed and they're private, they don't want everyone to know that they smoke weed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why delivery
Exactly.
services
A lot
are
of
big
people.
right now. Delivery services are really huge. And, they just had a story on the news where they were saying they actually went undercover and ordered from some different delivery services in Los Angeles. And they were seeing how a lot of people weren't asking for ID.
Oh, is
They
that
were
right?
literally just dropping off the weed and leaving. And so, but the problem is that their focus is on the brick and mortar stores, right? So the delivery people right now are going underground because it's not really the focus of law enforcement. But there's a lot of alternatives. I was surprised that they didn't find an easier way to get something.
Last year in 2018, Brandon, the state of California made $300 million on the taxing of marijuana. $300 million, that's enough to pay for the entire police force in Sacramento. From what I understand, the taxes on marijuana is 8.75%. Then they add an additional 15%. So, and there's even a cultivation tax of about $9.9 per ounce. So that's quite a bit of money. But I think a lot of people are concerned that most people are buying outside of legitimate places.
A lot of people don't want to pay that tax.
They don't want to pay that
No.
tax. They don't want to pay that tax. You had mentioned, Brandon, giving marijuana away. If I, because I have some marijuana, because when I have guests, they're kind enough to bring me some marijuana, and I would prefer to just give it away.
Yeah.
And it's so strong here. It's different because actually my friend actually did get some marijuana, and he noticed that it's really stronger. Is that the case in California because we have the varying flowers?
We got the best stuff. People come from all over the world just to smoke some weed from California. It's the condition. It's the climate here.
Is that right?
The climate here is like none other. That's why we grow some of the best weed in the world.
Mm.
And, you know, one big thing to remember, too, is that, yeah, it just went legal in the last year or 2 years, but medical marijuana has been around for the last maybe 10 to 15 years.
Oh, probably longer,
So,
but you're
yeah,
certainly right. It's been
But
around.
to a point where it was really common amongst people just walking in dispensaries, and to pay something like $30 an eighth, and now because you're walking into a nicer building and now you're paying $60 an eighth, it's a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow. You know, so that's why the underground is where it's at. It's very strong right now.
Yeah. I always want to update people on my growing. I've been trying to grow just really unsuccessfully. I've even tried the lights. I'm using, the system you had mentioned, a hydroponic system.
Uh-huh.
And I've got zero because I've got some really good seeds that were given to me. And I'm just getting zero growth, just zero.
Yeah.
It's
that.
funny because Taylor was telling me it's pitiful.
It's
It's
pitiful.
God, it's pitiful.
She said
it really
this
is.
stuff is pitiful.
It is. So I'm wondering.
We're going to set you up with a mentor. We're going to have somebody come over. They're going to get you some clones, and we're going to have somebody walk you through this. You need help.
Well, I just changed my.
You need help.
So I just changed my soil last week. I changed the soil, and I got a really dark soil. I still have the hydroponic system with the lights.
Uh-huh.
The lights and you can do that legally in California, and I don't consume marijuana. Everyone knows that. But so what do you think singly I'm doing wrong? Because most of the people who live in the rest of the country.
really think it's the soil and the climate around there, and I think we just rushed it too much. I think you didn't take your time with it. I think you just took the seeds out there and threw them in the dirt and thought you was going to have something.
Well, I did. I did think that. But
I think
it's
you
a
rushed
weed.
it.
Marijuana is a weed.
Uh-huh.
Weed. You should see the weeds in my yard.
I
The
know.
weeds in my yard go
And you
crazy.
don't smoke those, do you?
I don't, no.
Exactly.
No.
The weed that is smoked and consumed, it takes time. It takes love. It takes care. You're not just going to take something and throw it in the backyard and say, I want to smoke that right there. It's going to look like a weed.
I think the thing that's been most shocking, and I am shocked by a lot, not really shocked, but this has been a learning encounter, our podcast, Mondays with Wallace. I'm always thankful for anyone that's listening. But the most shocking thing is my inability to grow these seeds. It's just...
You know, what's funny is I was looking at something today, a documentary, and they were talking about just the marijuana industry in general. And they were talking to a guy who was growing. And he was saying, they were naming all these different factors, the genetics of the plant, the conditions around the plant. He said, and part of it is luck.
Luck. Wow.
Part of it is luck, because at the end of the day, you really don't know how this plant is going to come out. You know, there's this movement to shift the thinking from being a weed to being cannabis.
I see.
And so cannabis really is not something that just, you just throw in the ground and you turn around and you got this big, beautiful tree.
That's a weed.
This is something that really needs a lot of love and care and attention daily.
It's a science.
It's amazing.
It's a science.
And there's a
That is-
love to it. There's a love behind it.
Yeah.
I failed so many times. I remember being in your shoes. I remember when I first started growing, and I went and I tried and I tried and I tried, and I was losing thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I was growing plants and it wasn't smokable. I was growing plants and it was coming out and I was getting buds, but it wasn't smokable. I couldn't sell it. I couldn't use it for edibles. I was growing weeds. I was growing weeds instead of growing cannabis.
I'm so disappointed because I've really done everything right. And I've researched.
What about YouTube? Did you go to YouTube University?
I've looked at YouTube, but not
Yeah.
you. I've looked at YouTube, of course.
Yeah, a lot of people go on YouTube and they just say how to germinate a cannabis seed, how to germinate a cannabis seed, how to sprout a marijuana seed.
When you say germinating a cannabis seed, how are we describing germination? What is that?
Help me out, B.
It's basically just the seed sprouting. So if you've ever seen like
Which is what I've
the
not
bean
been able
sprouts,
to do.
you ever
I've
seen
not-
the bean
Sure,
sprouts? There's like
sure.
in Chinese food a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like little sprouts It's got like a little white sprout. That's what you
germinating.
Similar with like potatoes. If you have potato that sits, you see the little sprouts come off. Exactly.
The goal is you want to know that seed is growing. See, if you just throw it in the dirt and it hasn't germinated, you could sit there and think, oh, well, maybe just take an extra week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then a month later you have nothing, right? Starting with clones or germinating the seed is what's going to give you a starting point, so you kind of know where you're at. Because you should be at a certain stage for every so many weeks, so many days.
So the marijuana that I'm trying to grow rather unsuccessfully, I'm going to be able to get the CBD oils from that also?
Yes.
And the THC.
You can grow the weed, and you can, if you give it to the right person and they use the right machine, you can extract all the CBD out of it and all the THC out of it and do whatever you would like. You can make CBD products, edibles, lip balms, lotions, all type of things. Or you can make THC products.
And what we're seeing now is CBD oils are really getting very popular. And even CVS, I think, Carol,
I told you, I think 800 stores are going to carry
800
it.
are starting to carry the CBD oils. How are you able to differentiate the CBD oils or extract the CBD oils from the THC?
It's a machine.
Oh, it's a machine that
There's a machine. You give them a couple pounds of marijuana, for instance. You give them 2 pounds of marijuana, and they will extract the THC from your dry flowered marijuana, and they will turn that into a CBD oil for you. There's a machine that turns it into an oil. There's a process.
It's a press. I saw that actually
pressed,
today.
Huh?
Is that right?
Well, that's one of the new ways is a press, because typically you have to use a solvent to extract the oil. Now they have this press. You put it in there, you push the stamp down, and it literally squeezes the oil out of the bud. But the thing you have to think about is you only get so much oil.
True.
So imagine how many buds you have to.
I've got our 2 ounces here. I believe this is 2 ounces. How much CBD do you think you could get from this 2 ounces?
That's hard to say.
It's hard to say, but there's a press.
But
there's a press, and there's a solvent that actually does that. Takes it out, and you're able to separate. Is there a certain color to each product, the THC or the CBD, or is it? Can I look at it and identify and say, "Oh my God, that's CBD or that's THC"? Is there a defining element to that?
Not really. You kind of have to be able to test your oil to know how much CBD it is, how much THC it is. And, it depends on the plant, too, the strain. Because some strains are a lot higher in CBD as some are a lot higher in THC. So it's not just like if I just take this plant, I'm going to get so much CBD oil. It's also about the way that they're growing it. There are specific strains that they're using just to get, those CBD.
Certain strains will produce more oil-based. Certain strains are more sticky, so they are more oily. So you can get more CBD and THC from them.
Yeah. Most of the products that are CBD oils and what you all are talking about are processes that really pharmacies has been doing forever. And even a lot of, Carol, I don't know if you've taken any estrogen
They've been
products.
pressing plants.
Well, you look at estrogen products.
Never.
You've never taken any estrogen products? Okay. Estrogen products are really common. There's one, if you're postmenopausal, they'll use a product called Premarin. And Premarin actually comes from the urine of horses, horn urine. How do you think you get that? I'm serious.
What do you mean get that?
That's what actually comes from urine of horses.
So what, do you have to masturbate the horse?
No, it's obviously they have to collect the urine of horses, and it's actually processed, and they actually take the Premarin, which is a estrogen product. They take it from the horse's urine. That's what, of male horse's urine. So it's you're looking at it like, oh my God, but but this is basically what you're doing the same thing. I think they use a certain chemical. They extract it, and I believe they are able to use a chemical to separate. A lot of the chemicals that we use are alcohols. Alcohols are real common with prescription products. Even penicillin, when you look at penicillin, usually they will extract it, and there's a lot of...
Isn't penicillin like a fungus too, or something?
It is. It's absolutely a fungus, and that's how they discovered penicillin. Is they actually they would notice fungus growing, and it would seem to kill some aspects of it. So people scraped it away, and fungus is really very common. Is that something that we see with marijuana? Is there a lot of fungal growth? And how do you prevent fungal growth in marijuana?
Climate, humidity. If you got too humid of climate, your buds can start to create a fungus, a mold on there, and that's terrible. You don't want to smoke that.
Yeah.
And if you're drying out the weed and it's too humid, humidity creates mold.
Well, what we're actually seeing is that with marijuana becoming as popular as it is, we're seeing a lot of people wanting to refine the treatment. What's available to refine the treatment? Can you produce, and we're obviously producing more, but is there a way to, what improvements can be done for a person like myself who's at home trying to do it? I think I'm hearing that it would probably be impossible for me to make CBD oils, but I thought you told me you were making CBD oils at some capacity, Brandon.
No, not really. I more either buy the oils.
Oh, you buy the oils?
Or creating like butters and oils that are infused with cannabis, like the flower itself.
He's not extracting the oil himself.
Oh, so I thought you were extracting the oils.
You can make butters and oils like coconut oil, olive oil, infused oils like that. That's more.
You go out and buy the oils already extracted. Somebody's already extracted them.
Oh, I see.
And then you add them to your products.
Oh, I see. So I was under the impression that you were making the oils, you were getting the oils from the particular plant, but that's just a little too hard.
That's a serious
More of a
process. You got to be
wholesome
real advanced. You can't be a novice or a beginner doing stuff like that.
Oh, I see.
There's been at least like 2 instances.
Explosions. Explosions
Just recently,
and things like that. Garages blowing up and things like that. It's a whole lot of gases and chemicals in the extraction process, and you really got to know what you're doing. You need to have a lab for that. You can't be doing this in your garage.
That sounds like a meth lab.
Exactly.
Well, you know, meth labs are really, meth labs, I don't know if you're familiar with meth, but meth labs are really simple to use. You just need Sudafed to make methamphetamine. And it's really a simple process. I believe you take the Sudafed and you cure it with maybe denatured alcohol or maybe alcohol. And meth is just you know, simple and super powerful. It's something that you'll see, I don't know if there's a distillation process. So this is totally different. So there's no simple process.
It's a distillation process.
To make creams and oils, it's just distillation process.
Could you give the number?
Absolutely.
So
our phone number is 424-227-9461. We always welcome your calls. This is, of course, Mondays with Wallace. I'm here with Carol Lemire. I'm here with Steve Cotton and Brandon Tidwell from Sweet Daddy Edibles. I'm learning. I'm getting it right. So California's market, from what I understand, is actually crashing. And that's because there's too much cannabis. The thing is that you can only consume, the Californians can only consume about, I think it was 200 million. Go ahead, Carol.
Well, I think you're a little confused because
No.
I know what you're saying. I've seen that because I sent it to somebody.
Yeah.
That's because there's underground stuff going and they don't know about it. So it's like when people cheat the government and don't pay taxes. Same thing. It's out there. People are buying it, but they're buying it underground.
It's not a real big crash. People are just doing it the way. So some people don't want to pay the taxes.
Saying. It isn't a crash.
Some people don't want to pay the license.
They don't want to pay the taxes, and they want to stay with their
some people
person
can't
they
get a
always
license.
bought weed from. I mean, because you have big corporations taking over now. Francis Coppola's coming in with infused wine. The cigarette company's coming in where they're in a package. So, I mean, the little man has went underground, and he's kept his clients.
Well, right now, and I know you guys are going to disagree with this, but the cannabis growing market in California is a complete failure. Complete failure. And I'll tell you why. And this is not just my opinion. It's California. They have too many marijuana farms. And I'm just reading this. They're growing too much product. And if nothing is done to change it, and I don't know what to do. And probably what'll change California's abundance of marijuana is if you can actually ship it out. You really cannot send legally. You can't send marijuana out. So with it not being able to be distributed on a national wholesale level, and we're probably going to come to that point. There's 1,142 acres of farmland in California being used for cannabis. But they're only permitted to sell, I guess our market here, and I'm just reading here numbers here. Our market here can only support 1.8 million pounds annually. I guess that's a lot. But so if you look at just that number, a lot of it's unaccounted for. So you're just people just can't use the cannabis. So I would think that would bring the prices down. How are you seeing the prices? Are you seeing the prices, Brandon? And are you still making the edibles?
Yes,
the
yes,
edibles?
I am.
Good deal. Good
Yeah.
deal. How is that coming?
It's coming along. It's coming along.
And did you move out yet?
No, we're not moving. We want to
no,
stay.
I
I'm
may
telling
be,
you,
though.
your family and I have. I'm so thankful to be with you guys. When I send out my show sheet every day, I'm so thankful that you all come. I really am. But your parents would be really proud of you guys, even though you probably think, oh,
We got to
Even
get our
though
moms
they
on the
get-
show
you
one time.
really
Huh?
need to bring them in and
Even though
We
they
got to
get
get both of
kicked
our
out.
We need to
moms
get
on the
them
show
in.
one time.
Get them eyeballing you guys, because the abundance of information you all have is just a blessing. When you look at the amount of taxes, like I had mentioned, California gets $300 million in taxes, which is just an abundant amount. That's more than all the other places combined. You look at Nevada. Nevada only brings in about 60 million. Oregon, I believe they bring in about 112 million. So California really does well, but again, and I cannot emphasize this enough, the market is really failing. The market there's a glut. There's too much. It's almost like if you go back to the days of the alcohol prohibition days, there was that same thing. They had all this liquor they had produced, particularly in New Jersey. New Jersey just went in and they actually defeated a marijuana law. They actually were trying to make marijuana legal in New Jersey, and they actually defeated that. So I don't think we'll ever be in a position whereas you can send all of our cannabis out unless we start processing it on a world level. Does anyone else in the world produce cannabis? I'm sure they do.
Canada does.
Well, Canada does, of course, right?
Yeah, because I have friends, that's where they buy it, is from
Well,
Canada.
it can be grown indoor. It doesn't have to be grown outside. So as long as they can do a facility, it can be grown in any state. But I think one time we'll be to the point where all these places in California, they will be able to mail it out to Australia and Europe and other places like that. Sooner or later, we'll get to
You
that.
don't think they already have it?
Oh,
They
do
are.
it.
No, for
Yeah.
sure.
Definitely feel like.
I mean, have you ever been to Amsterdam? Ooh.
Yeah.
I haven't been. No.
Now, I know we don't do it, and I'm not encouraging anyone to do it, but I've heard that people, because from what I've understood, and anyone that visits California, they will remark at the fine product here in California that we have. And it probably has to do with the climate. Do you think that's different than the products that come out of Colombia? Because Colombia, and even now, you'll still find marijuana coming up illegally from the border.
Colombia is more known for bringing in cocaine.
Cocaine and marijuana too. You'll still find tunnels that are on the San Diego border, and you'll still find marijuana coming into some of the tunnels. So is there
It's not
product?
that good, is it?
I
It
would think
depends.
it's more
Mexico?
cocaine
I mean,
coming
you'd be
through.
surprised.
They got some
You'd be
fire in Mexico?
They have tropical weather.
They do.
They get a lot of humidity.
They ain't got no kill, though.
I wouldn't be
They
surprised.
don't have no master growers
I mean,
out
where do
there.
you think it comes from?
They got some all right.
You have people who travel the world looking for unique strains, and they
Yeah.
found them on every continent.
I see.
So it's
Well,
just
it's
about
not a
the
product
environment.
that's new now. It's like I told you guys, I think it was last week, but because the show wasn't working, I was telling you years ago our grounds weren't all polluted like they are now. So you could just drop your seeds in the ground, water, and your plants grew.
I think
But
there's
because it's so much pollution now, it doesn't grow that easy, just like you trying to grow yours. And living where you live, he should get some great growth because of the moisture
A
from the
lot of the
beach.
time, too, the soil, sometimes the soil that you're using, all the nutrients has been used. You may have grown tomatoes there one year, this product there another year, this product there, and it was good for about 5-10 years, but then you used up all the nutrients in that soil, and you just got to replenish the nutrients in there.
I really cannot describe the disappointment that I'm experiencing.
I've been there.
Growing.
I've been there. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, it's
And
probably because the plant knows he don't really like it because he
No,
doesn't do it.
that's
you
It's
gotta
a
love the
living
plant.
thing, so it
You
probably
really
knows
know.
that you
I
talk
really
against
look at it every single day.
You really gotta
Don't
love
look
that
at
thing.
it.
Yeah. We always like to hit the news a little bit. I usually like to hit the news a little earlier. But I guess they came out and said Trump did not collude. What do you think about that? Have you guys followed any of the news over the that last few days? Or
They think
seems
Russia
suspect.
did, but they say so far they don't see
Suspect.
it.
It seems like he had enough time to clean it all up, huh?
what is your general feeling about that? Do you feel we should still, because the Democrats essentially are wanting to and still investigate. And do you feel that's the appropriate direction or route to take?
Well, if it's worth our time, we need to pursue it.
I think we should move on. I really think
Move on from it now.
my feeling is
We've done enough investigating.
I think it's a blessing that the guy who was processing the
Mueller.
I think it's a blessing that Mueller came back and said there was no collusion, or at least there was not enough that he could prosecute Trump. But so knowing that he won the election, although he lost the popular vote, and the guy I think is an absolute terrible president. But I think we need to try to move ahead and just if anyone votes, whoever you vote for, just vote, because that's the problem.
You say move ahead, but look what he's doing to our country.
He is.
I don't think we've ever had a president like him. He's turning people against people. I mean, a good example is how people just do violent stuff, whether it'll be a black on black crime or white on white. I mean, look at the older lady that was on the subway.
Oh, did you see that?
I mean, this guy was kicking her in her face. Now,
this is a 77-year-old woman, I believe.
Thing, and you could see people behind two people that had their phones up. Do you think anybody helped this older lady? They were more into filming that. It was sad. It was one of the saddest things I've seen. And just like the young girl with the Caucasian man, the young black girl, she was going the wrong way, but she was only dropping her friend. This guy had a gun. He punched her in her face because she went to call 911 and he slammed the phone out of her hand. And he started punching her in her face, but he had a gun. He's out of jail. Now, let's reverse it. Let's say it was a person of color. Let's say it was a black guy hitting a white person. It would be a different story, because I don't know how he's out of jail and why he don't have heavy charges, because he did have a gun in his hand if you look at the video.
And then you look at some of the...
it's sad.
I think if you look at the environment, I think there's a lot of violence. I don't know if there's more violence or it's maybe our ability to film it. And it's so pervasive in our society. But when you look at YouTube or even CNN, there's all these really acts of violence, and people typically are just violent. When you see the kids fighting each other, and
but they film it. It's like this older lady. Instead of helping her, I mean, this man kicked her in her face.
People with cell phones and technology.
They were too busy filming. You hear a guy say, "Oh man, he just kicked," and I'm like, "What is wrong with these people?"
Do you think there's more violence, or do you think
I
there's just
feel there's
people
more.
filming it more, where it's
I
just
don't think
so
people
easy
help
to...
each other. Is what you're seeing. They'd rather film it
I
and see
think the
who can
social
sell
media
it.
eggs it on. I think it kind of promotes a little bit of violence. Instead of you stopping it and intervening, people rather pull out their camera and show everybody what happened.
That's what he said at the end. Before he walked out, he faced them and they blanked it. But what he was telling them is turn it to such and such.
They actually arrested
where
the
it's
gentleman.
violent.
They actually arrested the guy.
Yeah, but he's got his girlfriend claiming that this woman said something. Where was the girlfriend when he got off? There were no kids in that when he got off.
Yeah.
Nobody's seen anybody.
Did you guys see Michael Avenatti was arrested? Did you guys see that?
Again?
Michael Avenatti, he's the Stormy Daniels attorney, and he's the gentleman that actually went after Trump. But I guess what he was trying to do was but go after a Nike. He had claimed that he had some disturbing news, and either they pay him. Of course, he has the presumption of innocence, but he was actually trying to get $200 million from them, or he'd do a press release to more or less scorn their products. So they
He
just
tried to blackmail.
He did. Tried to blackmail them.
And it came back and got him, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nike did not pay him, and instead they exposed him. And now it's all over the news that he tried to blackmail Nike for $20 million, I believe.
20 million. Is it 20 million or 200 million? It's probably 20. It's 20 million. That's a lot of money. Well, what really amazes me when you look at the Trump people, make any opinion that you want of them, but you look at Michael Cohen, the Trump's attorney, and you look at the gentleman who was arrested, who's in jail now, Manafort. It's remarkable that they were so much in debt. They were $20 million in debt. How are you $20 million in debt and you're not? That's remarkable to me. That is absolutely remarkable.
It's not remarkable to me.
$20 million in debt is just remarkable to me. That is just.
They were in $1 million in debt, and they figured out how to get another million, and get another million, and get another million until they got to 20. And whew.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. Michael Cohen, his thing was that I am Trump, the personal attorney of the president, and he would drum up business that way. But if I'm even $20 in debt, I can't get a loan from a bank or anything. You just.
I know what you mean.
I can't get dinner.
$20 million worth
$20
of
million
debt.
in debt. And Manafort, it's thought, even Trump, he doesn't release his taxes, which is a big problem for a lot of people. But the feeling is that he had an enormous amount of debt, which would have really, he makes the sell that he's a billionaire. And I don't really think he is. The thing we need to do with Trump is just vote him out at this point. But I think it's really a good thing that he did not collude with Russia, because that's just a horrible thing to think that our president, and I think Russia made offers, but I guess he didn't accept it to the point that Mueller was satisfied prosecuting him. And I think it's a time to move on. The next president who comes in, you got to think if it's a California person, you got to think they're going to legalize marijuana. You're probably right. There's probably a time when it will be legal nationally. So California is just about the only place where you can buy or you can make, not the only place, but the warm climates. In a place like Florida, do you think they're growing marijuana in Florida?
I mean, you can. You have to remember, you're just controlling the immediate environment.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a garage. That could be a closet. You know what I mean? That could be an
can do it
abandoned
anywhere.
house.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you can control those four walls and you can control your temperature and your humidity, you can pretty much grow anywhere.
People grow outdoors in Washington, too.
Outdoors in Washington State.
Oregon.
But it gets pretty cold up there, right?
Exactly. Certain time of the year.
Certain time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But see,
You can't grow year-round.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the big thing that differentiates California. It's not necessarily the quality. The quality is a byproduct.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that there's a lot of, or there's not a lot of regulation. So people can go out in Humboldt County and find a place in the woods and go grow 100 pounds. You can do that. Now, you have to protect it, obviously, and there are people out there trying to get it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's less regulation. There's less concern about, outside forces trying to take what you have. And so a lot of people are growing everywhere. And I think that's where you're seeing the market flooded from. You have home growers, you have commercial growers. So, it's a lot out there, man.
Okay. So I am getting so desperate and just so desperate to grow marijuana. Not that I like it, because I don't
See,
smoke.
I don't understand that, though, because you're so against it.
I'm not against it. I'm just trying to learn.
well,
I'm just trying to educate. Like my the people that listen. A lot of people that listen to my program, they really don't smoke, but they do. And the guy who asked me about getting some, his friend is in California. And when people come to California, they know it's legal, and it's almost like gambling.
Find you a friend or a neighbor that has grown marijuana before, instead of just trying it yourself. So one of your friends has grown before, or they've tried to grow before. Ask them to help you out.
And maybe your daughter's boyfriend can help.
Well,
He works at a place.
We got a mentor that's going to walk you through the steps so you can actually sprout some seeds. We want to get you going. It's almost that time of the year. The climate is getting right, and in about 3 to 4 more weeks, you can start putting your plants outside.
now wouldn't want anyone to do this, and I don't recommend anyone doing this. But I had one of my guests on, and he was telling me that he would grow marijuana. He was really good at it. And he said people would steal it from him. So if I wanted to, let's say I'm so
That's a
frustrated.
huge issue.
Well, if I'm
Birds
so
eat it, too.
frustrated, and I'm really frustrated. I'm telling you, and when you're frustrated, you just do bad things when you're frustrated. If I wanted to steal some marijuana, a plant.
Poke your head over your neighbor's fence. They might have some out there right now.
Okay, so my neighbor has some in his
Yeah,
fence.
you didn't used to raid gardens.
Okay.
Look at it like that.
So
You're
I'm
raiding
going to
somebody's
steal a
garden.
marijuana plant. So I see my neighbor's plant, and I'm going to steal my neighbor's plant. Is there a deep root system where you pull it up? Because I know when you pull
So
weeds
you
up,
probably
you've got to
don't
pull
wanna
it up
kill
from
the
a.
plant.
I
So
don't
you
want
just
to kill
want
the.
to steal their whole
If
plant.
you're
Well, I mean, it's not fair that I can't grow it because I'm a farmer.
If you're lucky, it's in a hydroponic system, and you can take the entire hydroponic system.
No, I can't do that.
Or if you can't, you hope that it's in a pot. If your neighbor has it in a pot, you can steal the pot, and you're good to go.
But
If it's
if I
planted
steal
in-
the plant, okay, so
If it's planted in the ground, you're going to have to chop that plant. You're going to kill it.
no.
You want to keep that thing alive.
But I guess what my question is:
yeah.
Is there a deep root system,
Absolutely.
whereas I could reach my hand under the soil? When you pull weeds, you know how you pull weeds. They say
Oh,
you
so
pull
you're
weeds.
going to steal their whole plant.
No, I want to know the best way to secure. And again, I'm not recommending anyone.
You're
steal it,
trying to do a
but if I want-
transplant. You're trying to
Is
do
that
a
a
transplant.
transplant?
You're
Okay.
trying to take a plant from his garden, transplant it into your garden, and keep it alive. So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to do a transplant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is a way that you can get under there, and you have to get deep enough around there to pull it out and place it in your garden and keep it alive. But
Now-
if you don't do it at a certain level, you're going to kill all the roots and you're going to kill the plant.
Well, I don't
Now,
want to kill
now
the
could
plant.
you see
That's
him
the
getting
light
caught
post.
and they call the police?
Can people call the police on me?
Well, that's thief. You're stealing.
You're in another person's backyard.
Yeah, you're
trespassing.
stealing.
You're stealing.
That would be hilarious.
Even if
though.
it is marijuana, you're stealing.
Yeah,
now
you're-
we're,
you're-
now we're
you're-
holier than thou over here.
Yes.
You're stealing off their property.
Okay, so once again, so if I want to, and I just want to know how to do this.
Uh-huh.
I have orange trees in my backyard, and orange trees you really cannot reach in and just grab them.
No. You can't transplant that orange tree. You can't transplant that
Do
one.
you
So-
pick all your
Unless
oranges?
it was in a pot. If it was
I
in a
don't
pot,
really
you could.
pick them. I've got lemons more so. My
What
orange,
do you do with all your fruit?
well, we'll use it periodically. Even when we grow tomatoes,
I got lemons and oranges.
you have lemons.
You
Even
do?
when
I
we grow
love
tomatoes,
lemons.
we'll go out and just play around with them. So, how long would it take for you to take a plant? Let's say I had a plant because someone stole my plant, by the way.
Nobody stole
But
that
yeah, they
wimpy
did.
thing.
Someone stole my plant. But how long would it take for you to go in and steal a plant? How long would it take? And it's got to be, or to do a transplant. Would you have to dig deep into the
Yes,
soil?
you would.
Have to dig how far deep?
You'd have to get deep enough under there where you're not chopping off the root system. You have to know how long that plant's been there, and depending on the stage that the plant is in, you'll know how deep you need to go on the root system. Baby plants haven't rooted that much. It's real easy to transplant baby plants.
Oh, is that right?
Baby plants are transplanted all the time.
So I could just
When you're
reach my
dealing with a
hand
mother
under.
plant, the mother plant has a big root ball system under there, and if you chop that off, you're going to kill the plant.
Now,
Okay.
do you grow it, Steve?
So when you
I used to. I don't grow it anymore. I tried, and I did it for about 2 or 3 years, and I lost a whole lot of money growing marijuana, and it's cheaper to just buy it.
See, now that question I asked you last week because our sound wasn't working, it's a question that everybody always asks. If they've had weed for a while, does it lose its potency?
Not at all. Sometimes it gets better and better and better
and
and,
do they
better and
have
better.
to put it in a certain jar or just
yes,
leave it?
in a mason jar in a cool, dry place,
Okay.
and it'll get better. It'll start to cure. I had some weed when we first got it and smoked it. It wasn't that good, but we let it sit in a jar for about 3-4 weeks. It got a little bit more dry, and oh man, it was amazing.
So when you actually cut, let's say when you actually cultivate your marijuana, does it die? Because you mentioned dying. Do you have to just replant it, or do you pull it out and throw it away? With strawberries, I grow strawberries, and they seem to be annual plants
Where do you grow all this?
on the side of my house.
Wow. I think I'll raid your garden.
Oh yeah. Well, my gardening right now is not really in good shape because it's March. But we really get nice strawberries growing. I had tried growing some blueberries. Tomatoes ain't really easy to grow. Marijuana is like impossible.
Well, that's why the clones are so important.
Marijuana is like
The
impossible.
clones is what's going to keep your crop turning over.
If you go get a clone, you know what strain you have. You know how to take care of that strain and everything. When you're dealing with the seeds, you're more guessing. It could be a male, it could be a female, it could be this, it could be that. But when you have clones, you know what you got.
What exactly
you know
is a
who did
clone, in case people are curious?
It's a baby plant.
Uh-huh.
It's a baby plant already. It's already
Okay.
sprouted. It's about this big.
Uh-huh.
And you can see that it's a marijuana plant. It's bushy, and you just you take it from there. You grow it from there. A lot of people can't grow from seeds. They go out and buy clones.
The biggest thing with clones is it's coming from your mother plant.
You know what you got.
Yeah,
Seeds, you're still guessing.
Your mother plant has produced the buds, right? A female plant is what's going to produce your buds, the flower that you smoke. If it doesn't do that, if it turns into a male plant or if it turns into a hermaphrodite, which is mixed plant, it's going to produce seeds and not buds. And then your crop will not be smokable and you'll have to throw it away.
So you mean like a morphodite?
So,
It's
yeah,
both sex.
See, the key
female.
is
That
your
happens.
mother plant. They've used the mother plant several times to grow good quality wheat. It's proven with that plant. So instead of us starting from a seed and trying to guess what it's going to do, we're going to go back to that same plant and say, well, she worked good the first time. Let's do it the second, third, and the fourth time. And
But
that's
I
why
thought
you see a better.
back to the mother plant. I thought when you
When you can I just ask one?
Please,
when you
please.
cut it from that one, do you have to put it in water to get at the root? If you're
You have
taking
to put
a
it
piece
in a
of
certain chemical, and it has
Yeah.
to be a certain humidity to create a root system in there. It's really
Oh,
amazing.
okay.
It's called an osmosis, a reverse osmosis system, and it creates a little humidity under there. You cut it off the plant, you put it in there, it sits in that humidity, and it's real wet under there, and a root system develops. I was
And then
amazed
you-
the first
then
time
you
I
put
did
it in the ground.
Then you put it in the
Okay.
ground, and it just grows.
And I think
First
there's
time I
one,
did that, I was blown away. How you can cut a piece off a plant, put it in this system that has nothing but water, and I put a little nutrients
Well,
in there.
that's why I asked that,
And
because
then
you
a
do
root
that.
system grows off of there, and you have a plant with just roots on it, and then you take that and put it in the ground,
and
and
you
it grows.
you can do that with marijuana.
That's yes.
Then why am I dealing with seeds? Why didn't I just do
We've been
that?
trying to tell you.
You need to get some clones. We're gonna get you some
God,
clones.
I mean, you
When's
guys
your
treat me
birthday?
And
terrible.
here's the other thing too. For you to get to seed to clone is usually like
You still want to
I
try
want to
it?
say between like 4 and 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So when
I
you
see.
start with a clone, you're already at the 4, 5, 6 week mark.
Yeah.
So instead of your crop taking 90 days, your crop is taking 60, 62 days. So that's
You know-
the thing too, a faster turnover.
You know what? If anybody's listening, I see you're all on here joining this. You can still watch this later on the Facebook. It'll still be in there
And
because
like
they're
I-
all on my life story right now.
Oh, I really appreciate you and everyone listening to, of course, Mondays with Wallace. And
I know.
I'm
I
Wallace,
wish
and-
Alfie would call in,
Yeah,
but he's not
we
feeling
talk
good.
about cannabis every week, and we're grateful to anyone that's with us.
that wants
on
to
our
call in.
Flight 420 out of Los Angeles. So, yeah, you guys are bad for my confidence because you guys give me seeds and they're not going to grow, and I'm a failure. And then I grow something and it's not
good
cannabis.
to start with
and-
seeds so you can learn. If you take
Yeah.
a seed, you get to see how that seed germinates. You get to see it sprout, and you get an
Well,
understanding
how
of
do
the
you
whole
know
thing.
if it's a
you go
female
straight
or
to
a male
clones,
seed?
because you go get feminized seeds.
Okay.
They have feminized seeds that you can get from a seed
And how
bank.
do they know to separate that? To know when you buy a female seed.
They know genetics. They know
Okay.
how to produce straight seeds that are all females. They know how to make the plants and create only female seeds. So you got to get them from a seed bank. You need to get them from a person you trust. Seed banks.
I see. But I'm guessing now that I need to really abandon. Are my seeds still good? Because I've had them in the.
The seeds that
I've
are
had
in the
them this
dirt, those are bad. Those
They're
are no
bad.
longer good. If you still got a seed and you haven't planted yet, we want to try. We want to show you the germination process. We'll get a paper towel. We'll get it to sprout a little bit, and then we'll plant it, and we'll show you how to get these seeds going.
There's a man that just came in, E.G. Ross. Is that your friend? He just said he's getting some very good information.
Oh yeah, these guys
You
are
just joined.
sharp. I'm just amazed at the knowledge base of cannabis and marijuana. It's a whole new industry. Just like pharmacists are clinical pharmacists that do cancer or cardiac. I think there'll be I think there's a place for a cannabis pharmacist. There's no doubt in my mind about it. Carol.
When I went to the weed store, my son took me. These people were so they knew everything.
Knowledgeable.
These young people.
Experience.
And I asked them. They said, well, when we first start working in one of these places, they teach us stuff. I said, nah, you knew this before. I mean, they can explain everything to you. So everything.
Experience is the best teacher.
And they were all young people, so it was really interesting going in there.
So we've had an abundance of guests come into to visit us lately, and a lot of them are frustrated because of going to marijuana shops. The whole process. What's the process for walking into a marijuana shop? So if you walk into a marijuana shop, Brandon, what are you expecting? What do you anticipate? Is it like walking into an AM, PM, or to a restaurant, or what is the process like?
Now it's getting closer to 7-Eleven, AM, PM type of deal where you walk in, you show your ID. It's a lot quicker now. Before you would have to fill out a whole pamphlet. You would sit in the waiting room for maybe 20 minutes while they approved your ID. Now it's literally flash your ID, walk in, walk out.
Well, the one I went to, she wrote my name down, and I think she put my driver's license. But then they make you sit, when they brought me into the other part, I was on my phone, and they told me you have to put your phone away.
You have to put your phone away?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
You can't have your phone. Why? I don't understand.
They're not allowed to legally show anything that's happening inside the facility, because of the legal ramifications that could come after it. So they don't even dabble with it. They
Is
just
that
say,
right?
Just turn it off when you come in.
I see.
It was very interesting.
Is there a way you can buy weed without? I mean, if you look at me, I'm over 21. It's probably pretty obvious. But would they still sell weed to me? Because they wouldn't let. I tried to get into a shop once, and I didn't have my ID. They wouldn't even let me in.
Why?
You didn't have ID.
But
you didn't have your ID?
He could be a narc.
Oh, you have
could
to
be
have
trying
an
to set
ID.
him up.
How could I be a narc and not have
If
ID?
you don't have ID and they serve you, then the police are going to bust them. They try to catch people not IDing all the time.
Yeah, you
Not
have to
ID.
have an ID.
Yes.
Even
It's
if you
just
went
like
there all
one-
the time,
That's alcohol.
they're
It's
It's
still
like
going
going
to
to
ask
the liquor
you.
store.
Yeah.
If they try to send a little kid in there and you didn't get ID'd real quick, they got the person in the corner. They would love to catch them selling weed to you, and they didn't, and you walked in there without an ID.
But I'm over 21, so
you
what
have no
does it
ID.
matter?
You have no ID. You have to have identification for us to even we get be in the system. They have to put your ID in the system.
Because that's my problem. That's my problem.
Exactly. You are going to be in their system.
I don't want to be in their system.
Well, then you need to
Is
get
that
you a local
because
weed
you're
man.
a pharmacist?
I'm a pharmacist. I'm
You
a
need to get
federal
you a local
employee.
weed man.
But
I'm a
even
As
if
soon as you go in that
grandfather. I'm a
dispensary,
good
you're
Christian.
in their computer.
But it's legal here. So
I know,
why
but
would it be a problem?
I didn't want to be in that system for so long too because I didn't know
don't
what
wanna be in
database that was
system.
going to be in or anything.
That's the problem with people who buy guns. They don't want to be
Exactly.
in the system. They don't want to.
You're
And
in
that's the
somebody's
big
system.
NRA
As soon as you go in the
argument
dispensary-
is they don't want people. You could. That's why people will sell guns out of.
That's
if
why
you go
people
to-
buy underground.
Yeah, exactly.
I handed my ID right over.
Well,
I hand mine over now,
I don't
too.
mind
Yeah, I'm
because
like,
I know
here.
I know
felt
what I
it
do.
was very
So
interesting
I'm
going in
certainly
there.
okay, but I don't feel that my friends are going to want to put me in your
No.
system, put me in your weed system.
Imagine if your friend works for the Secret Service or has a real prominent government job. They don't want to be in that system.
I don't want to be.
No. They may
So
lose their job.
I would prefer, and I think that's the
their
thing
job
with my
finds out
friend.
that they went into a medical dispensary, they could get fired.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And this is people's livelihood. This is so people don't want. So it goes back to buying in the hood. So if you're buying in the hood, I'm buying in the hood. My friend, and this is what happened last week. My friend was in New York. He wanted to get some weed. He didn't want to go in the system, and he went to buy from the hood. How do you do that?
Why didn't you call these two?
You could have called
Well,
us. Right?
he needs his
He just
rent.
told me about his frustrations yesterday. We were just chatting about
It's
it.
good to know a local guy, man. A local guy in the neighborhood or something like that. Because even when you go to some of the hood places, they're going to card you, as well.
Your
They're gonna
next
card
door
you.
They're
neighbor
supposed to
might
card
have
you.
it.
Okay, I thought
They're supposed to
when
ID you. Even when you go in the hood, they ID you there, too.
But when you say going in the hood, I interpret that as going to like street corner or
when you
like
go to the hood, it's
a
still a
park.
dispensary. It's a store.
Oh, it's a dispensary.
They have stores in Beverly Hills, and then they have
I
stores
see.
over in Crenshaw, in the hood, on Florence, all up and down Florence
Why don't
Boulevard.
you show him the weed map? Do you know how to do that? Show me.
Yeah.
Well,
Show
there's
that.
the
Maybe
Weed
a lot
Maps
of people
app.
don't know
I've
about
seen
that
the Weed Maps
app.
app. I've seen that, and that's how you can get marijuana delivered.
Because somebody I know that goes to Palm Springs, they were shocked when they pushed the weed out
But,
because they
yeah.
didn't think there would be
There's
any.
weed apps
and it
all
was
around
like,
your neighborhood. If you get on the weed apps and you just pull it up when you go home, you'll see stores all around you in Westchester, Playa del Rey, Crenshaw District, Compton. They're all over the place.
I see.
And even in the hood, they still card you. They ID you. They're supposed to.
Are these places legal though?
A lot of them aren't. That's why they get raided and closed down, and they open back up, and they're closed down and open back up. Very few of them are legal. I say 2 out of 5 of them are legit.
The numbers, 170 in Los Angeles County are legal.
Wow.
All the other ones are.
350 to about 375 of them are illegal.
Illegal. Right?
And that's why the whole focus is to shut down a brick and mortar. They have to have a focus or an attention because the market is huge. The black market is everywhere.
But what I'm hearing from you, and you could clarify this if it's true, is I'm hearing from you that maybe it's better if you're wanting to be anonymous to go with the black market.
Yeah, you can, but you're losing the retail experience, and you're losing somebody guaranteeing you that it comes from a certain source, or
you don't know what you're getting.
Effect. You just don't.
You don't know what you're getting.
You don't know. So this is always a risk.
You want to know what you're getting when you're smoking that and putting it in your lungs.
This is Mondays with Wallace. You're on Flight 420 out of Los Angeles. That just about wraps it up. We really appreciate everyone being here. We are at studio in Culver City. We're going to say goodbye to you guys. We're going to chat with you next week. This is Mondays with Wallace. You on Flight 420 out of Los Angeles. Good night, everybody.